Welcome back to the channel, or welcome back to another episode of the Hardcore Casual with your boy, Bass the Kid. Now, as always, please like and subscribe and share this with a friend, a colleague, an associate, an enemy, family member. It all helps. I appreciate it. Now, there's quite a few bits and pieces that have happened over the last few days, and I definitely want to give my take on some of them. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, according to Rick Glacier, the Gervonta, Tank Davis, and Luis Hector Garcia pay-per-view numbers are in, and they are bad. We're talking about just over 60,000. So what, 62,000 pay-per-view buyers. Now, I would have thought a minimum of 100, because Tank was always quite consistent with at least doing, you know, sort of like the 200-ish type mark. So yeah, to go from that down to 60, you see the Wilder pay-per-view numbers. There was like 77 or somewhere around there. The Andy Ruiz and Luis Ortiz ones were in and around that same ballpark. I mean, for all the talk that you know, Steven Espinoza likes to do regarding Eddie Hearn and DAZN, I mean, get your own house in order first. It's looking like both him and Leonard Ellaby don't necessarily look to be doing, you know, doing too well right now. You know, like, leave that guy alone. That's what I'll say at this point. Like, focus on your own affairs, and whatever beef you got with Eddie, you know what, you might have to do some crossover shows with DAZN and Eddie Hearn, because they seem to be pulling in a lot more numbers than you are at this point in time. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how well that bodes for the Ryan Garcia stuff, although I've told everyone that's not happening. Oscar De La Hoya came out the other day saying, look, deadline's Monday, I need to see a contract or we're moving on. But apparently now he's saying that he's got some kind of draft contract to present to Ryan, and, you know, they're going to do that. So let's see what happens with all of that. I already know what happens with all of that, but I'm just waiting for it to happen to be proved right. That's the long and the short of it. But yeah, the pay-per-view numbers, they ain't it. Maybe it's time now to start fighting the people that people want to see you fight, and those numbers might be a little better, but hey, we'll see. Francis Ngannu has officially left the UFC. Now, apparently he wanted an additional 3-fight deal. I can't remember I know that he wanted John Jones in the first one, and I think he wanted another Stipe Miocic fight, and then he wanted another John Jones fight, or at least he just wanted him to be a part of one of the, you know, the fights, but apparently that wasn't offered. So he's bounced, and he wants to move straight into boxing. Now, he's been a boxing fan his entire life. He attempted the boxing route before going down the MMA route, so it makes sense for him to do a transition, although he'll be coming in from a very, I won't say novice-y place, but he's not exactly going to be the most polished. However, you know, the rumor reports are that Dereck Chisora wants some of that work. Now, I mean, who else but Dereck, right? And you know what, to be fair, look, Tyson Fury, they've called him out before doing that situation. Dillian White, he had that virtual press conference with Francis Ngannou when he was still under contract with the UFC. I don't ever think that came out, or it was supposed to come out and then it got vetoed. It got, you know, there was the legal letters came out instead. So yeah, I can definitely see that happening. And of all the people that would be like a decent first test, I suppose, that will kind of keep you at a higher level with a lot of fan interest, Dereck Chisora is probably like the best guy. You know, someone that is durable, strong, tough, is gonna make you have to put in that work. It's gonna test if you've really got anything in this boxing game, but who ultimately doesn't actually box, he fights, and that's what you do as well. So now it's just about, can your conditioning last 12 threes instead of 5 fives, where you don't get the same levels of break, rest, and grappling. So that in itself, yeah, I think that would be a great introduction in. And then obviously you have that, then maybe you do like a hybrid. I've always been a proponent of this hybrid fight for like UFC boxers coming over. So if you fight someone like Tyson Fury, even Dereck, or you know, AJ, Dillian White, you do it like I would say like 5-minute rounds in the octagon type arena with boxing rules, you know, so boxing gloves, but it's 5-minute rounds or something along those lines, you know, just to keep it a bit more in keeping with a little bit of both. But yeah, anyway, look, you know what, to me it's a cool move. I mean, he's definitely a name, and that's something that can definitely be that can be promoted quite heavily, and I would be interested to watch it. I'd even buy it if it was on pay-per-view just for the freak showness of it, see how it lands. But yeah, Francis Ngannou left the UFC, wants to come into boxing. I'm all here for it. Let's go. So it would seem that the much delayed Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury fight is going to happen and is likely to take place on the 25th of February from the reports that I've heard, or somewhere there or thereabouts. I mean, it's about time. It's not necessarily a fight that, I've been dying to see. No, but when you keep someone's name in your mouth for this long, it only makes sense that eventually it has to happen. So it looks as if Jake Paul is going to end up traveling to the UK, whether that's the O2, whether that's the OVO, whether that's the what's the Manchester one called now? Is it still, it's not the MEN, but yeah, the arena up there, you know, whether it's the Motor Point in Nottingham, which wouldn't really make much sense, but yeah, Liverpool, it's got to be either Manchester Arena or it's got to be like the O2, and I'm assuming it's probably going to be the O2 because they're going to want it in the capital, or the OVO. It's one of those, quite frankly. And yeah, finally we can get this one out of the way, get it over and done with, all the talking stops. And I will say right here and right now, I predict Jake Paul to knock Tommy Fury out. He just seems to be taking boxing a lot more seriously than Tommy Fury is, and the fact that all he's done is just chase an influencer fight for the last year and a half, bit pathetic. You know, he's not exhibiting the same ceilings as the rest of the bloodline, and he will definitely end up being the black sheep at the end of it. And if you guys know, you know me already when it comes to the whole I very rarely bet against the Capricorn. They more often than not pull it out the bag. And yeah, this time I don't see there being any exception, to be honest. I don't think Tommy Fury would have done with Anderson Silva or even Tyron Woodley what Jake Paul did, quite frankly. That's just my personal opinion. So yeah, let that one happen. Let Jake Paul knock him out. Let that be the end of that saga. And then we can move on to the end game of KSI versus Jake Paul for the redemption story of Logan Paul, even though they're all business partners now. But that would be the interesting move there. I'm all for it. So let's get it out of the way so that we can stop talking about it and move on to bigger and better things on both sides. Okay, so I'm gonna end on this, and came out a few days ago, right? But I decided to not jump straight into it. I wanted to sort of just have a little think on the process of the situation. But Bob Arum has essentially said that if Usyk and Fury fight in the Middle East, then it's a 50-50 deal. But if the fight happens at Wembley, then because that's gonna be only Fury fans coming to the show, then he should get the lion's share of the split. So what's that, 60-40, 65-35, 70-30, 80-20, like he hasn't given a number, but that's basically what he's saying. So he's saying that Fury's going to be doing the bulk of the pay-per-view buys, and you know, it's going to be a predominantly Fury crowd. Now, yes, it's going to be in Fury's hometown, or his home country, I should say. That being said though, okay, 95,000 people in attendance, but are you sure that they're all Fury fans? I mean, could Fury do that against a no-name opponent? I don't know. But here's the situation. You had the Dillian Whyte fight, the quote-unquote homecoming, so you had good favor with that. Whether there was 94,000 there or not, you had that. Then you greatly reduced that by 35,000, if the rumors are to be believed, for a Chisora fight, but you chose Chisora to help with the promotional workload because he's someone that can sell a fight that the public know. So that in itself tells you that, well, you're not the draw, because if you were, you wouldn't have to fight someone else that has their own marquee value as well. Clearly, you need someone beside you to work off of to gain whatever it is you gain. Now, let's talk about numbers. You say that, well, it's going to be nothing but Fury fans, or Fury's people are going to be buying the pay-per-view. Yeah, that's very true, they are. But last time I checked, Alexander Usyk has been in 2 million plus pay-per-view buy events with Anthony Joshua. I mean, the second Joshua fight was what, I think it was like 1.2 million. And if anyone's got the official numbers, please put them below, because I didn't double check the numbers, but just based on what I remember, the first fight was supposed to be between 800 and a million pay-per-view buys. Second one was supposed to be about 1.2 million, based off of the reported numbers. Reportedly supposed to have done about 1 million buys with Dereck Chisora. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I actually believe that's the case. So, for argument's sake, let's minus 30% off of that. So around 700,000. And then he done between 5 and 600,000 with Tony Bellew. Last time I checked, all of those numbers were bigger than any pay-per-view that Tyson Fury has done over here in the UK. So Fury has done, let's see, there was the first Klitschko fight, which didn't really do huge numbers over here. Wilder fight, Schwartz, Wallin, Wilder, Whyte, Chisora. So he's had 8 pay-per-views, and I would hazard a guess that Alexander Usyk's 4 pay-per-views over here are comparable numbers. So half the amount of pay-per-views, yet maybe let's say 300,000 more overall as a total. Let's be generous and say 500,000. So you've done 500,000 more pay-per-view buys than him, while having double the crack. Does that really justify you to get the lion's share when this guy is not only coming into your backyard with comparable numbers or pound for pound better numbers than you per average, but also has 3 of the 4 major belts plus the Ring Magazine belt, which you're vying to get back to become the first person to win it 3 times? How is that not a 50-50 deal? And the thing is, Usyk is very much a person that he's gone everywhere and taken the short money. He said, you know what, cool, I want the glory, I'll take the short money, I'll beat you on your home turf, and we'll keep it moving. But he's definitely earned the right now to be earning comparable money opposite the ring, whoever he's fighting. Because this is all about, what have you done for me lately, and what's your body of work, what does your resume command you to get? And his resume more so then Tyson Fury commands him to be getting the lion's share. Because let's not beat around the bush. Like, he is the more accomplished of the two. That's not up for debate. In terms of overall opponents and overall quality of opponent throughout his career, night and day. Like, it's not comparable. So to try and do this now, to me, it sounds very much like they don't want this fight unless it's the most amount of money possible. Bob Arum is basically saying, oh, well, if I can't get Saudi money for this, then the fight's not going to happen. I'm going to put roadblocks in the way. That's what this seems like to me. You're literally just creating an issue where there doesn't need to be one, because you don't really want that bubble to burst. Knowing Usyk though, he wants glory, so he might take short money yet again. But if I was him, I wouldn't. I'd be like, screw you. Like, we ain't doing this. Not at all. Like, also, going back to a previous episode I did say that Bob Arum and them, man, they don't really have that Saudi connection the same way that like Eddie Hearn does. If you remember, the Saudis ain't happy. They're still not happy with what happened with the Joshua negotiations that didn't take place because of the Deontay Wilder trilogy fight, and all the speculation about what really occurred with there. Bob Arum tried to get money for, the Terence Crawford Manny Pacquiao fight in sort of the Saudi Middle East. Couldn't get that done either. He just doesn't seem to have the juice over there. So if you really want those big bucks, you might have to start talking to Eddie again. I know it might seem like, oh, Eddie's great, blah, blah. No, I mean, it just seems like no one else is doing events over there but him. So you might want to repair that connection in whatever way you can if you really want to get to them kind of bags again. But yeah, in terms of this whole thing, it should be 50-50. Like, forget all the other talk and all the other nonsense. Like, number one, Alexander Usyk's earned it, and number two, when it comes to pay-per-view, like, per show, on average, I'm sure he has a higher pay-per-view gate than Tyson Fury does in the UK. So to say that no one's gonna know him, or it's only gonna be Fury fans in attendance, nah, that one don't wash with me. But look, let me leave it there for now. Leave your comments down below, let me know what you think, and yeah, we will revisit this when a bit more information comes out. But for right now, thank you for watching. Again, please like and subscribe and share this with a friend, a family member, and all that other good stuff. And it's the Hardcore Casual, out.